Welcome to RPG Ranked, the channel where all your favorite RPGs are ranked.
What's up, RPG nerds? Welcome back to the tier list. In this video, I'll be ranking all the bosses in Thousand Year Door. If you enjoy RPGs, or especially Paper Mario, please like, subscribe, and... what's it called? Ring the notification bell. Thank you. I finally fixed the stupid blurry screen thing I had. My OBS settings were kind of garbage, and I finally fixed that, so my face doesn't look like a mace. And I don't know why I said that, but here we go. Let's get started. That was a very cringy intro, but we're going to start with Lord Crump, who is my least favorite boss in the game. What the heck? The first Lord Crump. He has 5 health. You jump on him 5 times. There's nothing else to it. It's a tutorial. It's not fun. It's a tutorial boss. It's like the first boss. I wouldn't consider it a boss. I said the word boss way too many times. Alright, let's move on. Gus. I am putting in E tier. He's actually kind of interesting, kind of fun. I like that you can either pay him off, or you can be like, bro, I'm going to kill you, which you should kill him. But, or beat him up, I guess you're not killing him. But, like, it's a kind of fun boss. He actually has some substance. He has 20 health, so that's kind of nice. Alright, let's move on to Big Blooper, who's also in E tier, right above Gus. He's a big blooper. If you want to fight fun blooper battles, play the original Paper Mario, not this game, I'm going to be honest. Yeah, Big Blooper's kind of fun, but like, there are better. The one in Super Paper Mario is even better than this one. The one Paper Mario, the one in Dragon Quest XI, like, come on. We've got better blooper bosses in games. Yes, Dragon Quest XI is King Squid, but same difference. Alright, now let's move on to Gold Fuzzy, who's a tier above these two. Why? Because the Fuzzy Horde was a fun and interesting idea, and yeah, the Gold Fuzzy was cool. Having a Fuzzy as a boss is kind of interesting. And just that whole little, like, mini dungeon is kind of fun. It's kind of a vibe. So, I liked that. And he kind of just pops out of nowhere, and you get a little fun boss fight. Okay, Red Bones. Oh my. Red Bones. Second, or third worst boss in the game, I guess. He's a little bit more interesting than Lord Crump, but he has almost... the only cool really part of this boss is before the boss. Basically, just hit him with something and he'll die. Alright, let's move on to Hooktail, who is significantly higher than all of these dummies. And he is in the... what's the heck am I saying? He is in B tier. So, Hooktail is a fun boss. He has some interesting little quirks about him. First of all, cricket sounds beat him up, which is epic. And he's actually kind of a hard boss if you don't use that. It's like, what, 5 attack or something crazy like that? Like, dang. It's more than like a lot of the other bosses. Honestly, next time I play this game, I'll not hit him with the cricket sound. That would be more fun. I mean, Power Bounce will wreck him anyway. But, then he starts eating the crowd, which is actually kind of interesting. I was like, what on the planet? Yeah. So Hooktail's a kind of fun boss. He's the first, like, real boss of the game, so it's kind of fun. And yeah, the cricket sound makes it fun because you get this... it's the one boss that you can, like, just completely weaken with something, so it's kind of fun. Alright, let's move on to the Shadow Sirens' first fight, who are going to be in C tier. I guess... yeah, I'm going to change it back to what I originally had. Because I would... yeah, Hooktail is an A tier boss for me. I was going to do this. We don't need an E tier. Yes. Alright, let's move... I thought that would be a good idea with the E tier, but I'm thinking that was dumb. Okay. Because saying that these guys are a C tier boss just doesn't give them justice. The first Shadow Sirens fight is actually pretty fun. You get introduced to the Shadow Sirens. The music is epic. yeah, it's just a fun boss. It's the first multi-target boss and one of the few multi-target bosses. And they all have different abilities. It's fun to like prioritize which one you're hitting and stuff. But since there's a much better version of that battle later on in the game, I couldn't put any higher than B tier. Alright, let's move on to Magnus von Grapple, who is also in B tier, a little bit above the first Shadow Sirens. He's a fun chapter boss, but honestly, I would say that he's definitely the worst chapter boss of them all. He is a mech. It's fun. Getting chased by him, like having this whole time limit and stuff, it's all fun. But is it as good as like any of the other bosses? Not really. And you get Magnus von Grapple 2.0, which is a bit better of a fight because he starts shooting the crowd at you and all this interesting stuff. But yeah, this is also being able to beat up the fists with either Gale Force or a multi-bounce. That's fun. Yeah, it's a fun fight, but nothing better than a B tier fight. Alright, let's move on to the Iron Clefts, which are kind of a fun fight. I'm going to put them in C tier, right above the Gold Fuzzy. Why is this a fun fight? It's more of the stuff surrounding the fight, because you get absolutely beat up by them. And you're like, how am I supposed to beat these guys? And then it's like, oh, we need Yoshi. Because I think your star power is disabled during that fight, so you can't use Earth Tremor or something. Anyway, but it's like, how are we supposed to beat this fight? And then you like go around, you chase down Yoshi hatches or whatever, and then you got it. And it's just a fun part of the story, not as much of a good boss fight, but so that's why it's in C tier, but it's still fun because it's part of the story. Alright, Bowser Fight 1 is right behind Shadow Sirens. You get to fight Bowser for the first time. It's fun. Is it as good as Shadow Sirens or Magnus von Grapple? No, but you're fighting Bowser for the first time. That's always cool. He doesn't have anything crazy. He just like jumps on you and breathes fire, so it's nothing insane, but it's fighting Bowser. His second fight's much more fun, and I think Rock Hawk is just the more interesting fight. Overall, I'm putting Rock Hawk right here, but what am I saying? Yes. Rock Hawk right behind Magnus von Grapple. Yeah, Rock Hawk's generally the more fun fight. Yeah. Like, Rock Hawk is a lot more involved in the fight. And I would say that Magnus von Grapple's lower than Rock Hawk. Never mind, he is. I'm actually going to move Rock Hawk up here because I was forgetting that this whole time there's this whole story about, like, you gotta beat the champion. That's like this whole point of this chapter is beating Rock Hawk, and then there's a whole plot twist surrounding it. So yeah, I'm gonna move Rock Hawk up here. And he's a fun fight. He starts like jumping on the ceiling and stuff. And yes, Magnus von Grapple has to do with the chapter also, but he himself isn't really introduced. The suit isn't really introduced until the end of the chapter. Whereas Rock Hawk's introduced like at the beginning, and the suit isn't really introduced. Obviously, all of Lord Crump's minions are introduced, the X-Nauts, during the chapter, but it's not actually his boss. Anyway, I'm being convoluted now. But basically, he's a champion, so I'm going to put him right here, because that is a very interesting build-up. Macho Grubba is S tier. Come on. This boss is epic. A lot of it, though, has to do with the story surrounding it. All this, you beat Rock Hawk, you think he's the champion, you think it's the end, but then it's a fake crystal star, and then you get all this epic mystery stuff that all leads to a story about Jolene and Prince Mush or whatever, and all this, like, actually really good story for a Paper Mario game. Not anything like Chapter 8 of Super Paper Mario, but one of the best stories in the Paper Mario series. And it's really cool. And then you get to fight him, and he has like 3 times more health than the last boss you fought. He starts powerlifting himself, and he starts like shrinking you or whatever. I think that's what he does. But all of this stuff is super fun. It's a fun boss fight. He actually is a bit of a challenge at first, since you don't have as many ways to break the game as you do later. No rally wink, no power lift yet, none of that crazy stuff. You still have power bounce, but it's not too broken for this boss fight. So Macho Grubba is a solid, fun boss fight. especially with all the story surrounding him. Let's move on to Atomic Boo. I'm putting him behind Gold Fuzzy. He's basically just a wall of HP, which is kind of fun. He has like 40 health or whatever, but he's nothing too surprising. And if I want a good, fun Boo fight, I'm going to actually play Paper Mario Sticker Star. And a lot of people are going to be like, Paper Mario Sticker Star, better than the Thousand Year Door. Only in this, only in this one circumstance. Because that Boo Mansion is probably one of my favorite levels in that game. And this Atomic Boo is just a wall of HP. Nothing really interesting about him. The 100 stack Boo fight is more fun, honestly. Anyway, I am going to get murdered in the comments for saying something in Sticker Star is better than this game. But basically, the Atomic Boo is just a boring wall of HP that makes me want Bo back from Paper Mario and to be playing Sticker Star during that fight. So yeah, Doopliss. So actually, this tier list doesn't have Doopliss twice, but my ranking has Doopliss twice. So I'm going to put him in the original place, and then I'm going to move him to... So fight 1 is going to go right above Bowser 1. It's a fun fight, but it's nothing special. He I don't know, he has a cape and he flies at you and jumps on you and all this stuff. And it's fun because Doopliss is fun and you want to beat him up because he's been turning everyone to pigs, which is more scary than anything Bowser's done in this game because Bowser's a wimp. But yeah, Doopliss, you want to beat him up and all this stuff. And it's a fun fight, but it's nothing too special. But Doopliss 2 is one of my favorite fights in the entire game. He starts using your partners against you, and it feels like a personal attack, because it's like you and Vivian's like the bad guy, and then she turns good, and then all the good guys are fighting you because they're thinking you're fake Mario, even though Doopliss is fake Mario, and it's an epic plot twist. I think that this is the best plot twist in the game. I mean, Macho Grubba plot twist was good, but that was more of a mystery, not as much of a plot twist. But Doopliss, the fact that you think the chapter's over and then you're not even halfway done, that was really cool. And all the stuff with, the partners attacking you. And it's actually more fun in this fight if you make it harder on yourself and you beat up the partners, and you just beat up all your partners and then you beat up Doopliss. It feels like a much longer, much more full and fun fight. It's a great battle, especially if you do that. So yeah, I love Doopliss 2. Doopliss 1's only down here, but Doopliss 2 is right here. Alright, let's move on to Cortez. My man is also another one of my favorite fights in the game. We're getting a lot of the good fights right here. Come on, Cortez is so epic. First of all, he has 3 forms. Second of all, he's probably the hardest boss in the game, in my opinion. At least for the part you're in of the game. Obviously, maybe the Shadow Queen's. Never mind. The Shadow Queen's the hardest, then Cortez. People might be like Bonetail, but Bonetail's just a wall of HP. You can use Power Lift, Power Bounce, do 80 damage in one turn. I 2-shotted or 3-shotted Bonetail. Anyway, Cortez, though, you can't just, own him because he has, 3 different hitboxes during one of the parts. He has 3 forms, and he just beats you up. He's actually a really fun fight, and he's just such a cool villain. Not only that, but then you get one of my favorite parts of the whole game, if not my favorite part of the whole game. After you beat Cortez, and he's like, wait, all you wanted was this dumb star? Bro, you could have just asked me for that. He anticlimactically hands it over, and then Cortez becomes this hilarious dude. And then you get into the amazing scene where you fight this guy. And although this fight isn't the best in the game, Lord Crump 2, I want to put right behind Hooktail. It isn't the best fight in the game necessarily, but it is one of the most epic scenes in the game where you got your 2 pirate ships and they're circling each other. And you just beaten the chapter boss, and then all of a sudden you're saving these toads, you blow up a wall, and all of a sudden you get ambushed by Lord Crump, even though you might have not even healed yet, depending on if you're thinking or not. It's awesome. It's an epic scene. Love that part of the game. Love Chapter 5, and those 2 bosses make it so good. And Smorg is a fun fight. I don't think he's as good as Lord Crump 2, although I do think he's better than Rockhawk. But by this point in the game, you can kind of just cheese every boss after Smorg. And Smorg isn't like an entity for the whole chapter, but that also is what makes him interesting, because he's just randomly pops up and then he's taking over the train and you have to beat him up. But it's fun because he actually does a ton of damage to you. Like, if you're not thinking, if you're not really being intentional about your attacks, you're going to get beat up. I mean, obviously you can use power bounce and stuff, but if you don't set up some defense before you use power bounce, he might wreck you. He's actually not that easy of a fight. He's not that hard either. He's mostly just a wall of HP, but it's still a fun fight. Alright, Magnus von Grapple 2.0. I'm putting right above Magnus von Grapple 1. And I think it's just... I think the only thing I like about this boss better is that he shoots the crowd at you. That's just hilarious. A crowd machine gun. It's kind of stupid, kind of funny. But yeah, I think that's why I put him above this guy. Even though he's more of a, like, looming villain during the chapter and stuff, I think that this fight's just fun and hilarious. Alright, Dark Bones is bad. By this point in the game, the novelty of the dry bones is even worse than it was earlier in the game, or the dull bones, or whatever the heck they're called, so that fight kind of sucks. Like, I'm gonna put it below Lord Crump, because at least that actually is the first boss in the game. This boss just sucks. Like, this was fun because it's the first time, but this is just the same thing the second time when you're OP and there's not even a point. Yeah. Alright, Gloomtail's kind of mid. I think that he's just worse than Hooktail, who actually has story relevance. And he's just not as fun as Bonetail either, because he has some cool poison breath attacks and all that stuff, but he's nothing too special. I'm going to put him right here. Above Doopliss 1 and Bowser, but not any higher. Gloomtail's fun, but yeah, he's nothing special. He's still a dragon fight. He still has 80 HP. Not ADHD, 80 HP. But he probably also has ADHD because he's a weirdo. But that sounds really messed up. That's not what I meant. I have issues. Not because he's a weirdo, because he talked a lot. I suck. My best friend has ADHD, guys. I promise I'm not rude. Alright? Okay, anyway. Let's move on from that. I suck. And let's move on to the next boss. Gloomtail's nothing too special. Alright. Shadow Sirens 2. I love this fight. I am putting it... right here. S tier. It's not too hard, but you get Doopliss and two of the Shadow Sirens in one fight. It's so fun. Like, come on, guys. It's so fun. It's just good. And especially if you're using Vivian, it's all that much better. If you just restrict yourself to only using Vivian for the fight, I feel like it means more. You finally get to beat him up. You finally get to be like, y'all, you suck as sisters. And you also get Doopliss in there, who's also as fun as always. So yeah, this fight was amazing. Alright, let's move on to Grodus. One of the best boss fights in the game. So good. Like, just so good. He puts up that shield. It adds a whole level of depth into the fight, and you get to actually beat him up. It's not like you just power bounce him and then all of a sudden it's over. No, you have to actually use some strategy. That's what's good about this fight. You can't just power bounce him, because you have to break his shield while he's still like damaging you, and then you can only really have one turn, because you have to spend one of your turns always breaking his shield. And it's actually one of the few Paper Mario or Paper Mario Thousand Year Door bosses where you can't just cheese him with power bounce. Like, any boss that you can't just own with power bounce is a good boss. And he's like he's the big bad of the game. He's the villain of the entire game. And don't tell me that the Shadow Queen is, because that's one of those, like, ha ha ha. And, well, like, it kind of is, but it's not the big bad. That's like saying that Golbez isn't the big bad. And, well, like, it's kind of like that, where it's like they are the big bad until they aren't at the very end of the game. And, yeah, Grodus, anyway. it means something. You're beating up, like, the main villain, and it's a very fun fight. And yes, the Shadow Queen is the main boss, because he uses the power of the 1,000-Year Door, which is actually very interesting. But, yeah. And then, Bowser 2 isn't quite as good as the Shadow Sirens 2, but is still one of the more fun fights of the game. I love that you fight Grodus, and then you fight Bowser and Kammy Koopa, and then you get a quick chance to save, and then you fight the Shadow Queen. That's one of my favorite moments in the game. Yeah, I love the moment on the pirate ships and the Cortez stuff in Chapter 5. I love the mysteries in Chapter 4, 5, and 6. No, not 4, 5, and 6. 3, 4, and 6. And then this moment. Those are my 3 favorite things in this game. And I love this boss gauntlet. And they're all such good bosses. It's amazing. And then we get the Shadow Queen herself, the best boss in the game. It's hard. It's the final boss. I actually died once to it, which was very surprising. Probably twice, actually. Depends. Overall, I've died like 3 times. But the last playthrough, I think I died once. But anyway, it's beside the point. The Shadow Queen's actually like a tough boss fight. It's a fun boss fight. It has a bunch of different moves. It has like 3 different phases. It's like an actual boss. 150 health. A meat shield, but not just one that you can cheese the power bounce. You have to actually use tactics, use veil, use boo sheets. Like, you got to do all that stuff. So the Shadow Queen is an amazing fight. And then Bonetail, the last fight in the game. Hardest boss, quote unquote hardest boss. I really don't think it's the hardest boss. I think the enemies in the last 10 floors of the Pit of 100 Trials were honestly harder. But I'm going to put it right here at the top of B tier. He's fun, don't get me wrong, but literally power lift, power bounce, boo sheet will make you win, and rally wink. Just, it's like a 3-shot. Like, the Shadow Queen requires tactics. Bonetail you can 3-shot if you use the right tactics, and he doesn't defend himself with a bunch of different things, so it's not like he's actually all that hard. He has the most health, but he's not the hardest. Thank you guys all for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, ring the notification bell, and comment down below your favorite boss in 1,000-Year Door. Sorry about some of my stupid comments. I regret those comments, and I will not make them again in a future video, hopefully. Please be sure to check out the channel for a Paper Mario and a Super Paper Mario boss ranking, coming to you both very soon. Thank you guys all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out, RPG nerds.